What are you guys doing to me? Put me right after Charlie Kirk? That's hard. That's hard. It's about faith, though. At the end of the day, that's what drives me. That's what drives a lot of people here. So I'm going to start with what's the problem that we're trying to address. And then I want to talk to you about some people here that have addressed that problem and are a part of the solution. And I want to talk to you about what other problems that we have at a national level. Charlie Kirk's talked about why people are so miserable right now. Why are they so miserable? They're so miserable because we've been reduced to political groups. No longer are we looking at each other as God looks at us as humans made in His image with infinite value. We're reduced to this group. You believe this, and therefore you're not even human to me anymore. It doesn't even matter anymore. And there's a battle raging within us, and I'm just so glad for Cam. By the way, just a quick shout out to Inspiration Academy and our basketball star here, Cam. I don't know if you guys know that he's a great basketball player. So there's his book that he wrote, just the title alone, what was it? Fearless Masculinity, right? That's what it's about, because we're being oppressed with toxic masculinity. Everybody's being told that you cannot say these things. You can't speak the truth. You can't say what God has put in your heart to say. And that fight that's going on inside of people is torturing people. There's no wonder that there's so much anxiety within today's youth. There's so much depression and anxiety. It's because it's being perpetrated upon them by political ideologues. We've got to fight against it. We've got to do everything that we can to fight against it. And by the way, where does this come from? So young people, when you feel like, I've got to say something, and you're stepping up and fight, don't think for a second, because the enemy, the spiritual enemy, is going to come in and tell you that you're being selfish, that you want all the attention. That's not true. That's not true. You were given gifts by God that are for all of us. And if you suppress through political pressure, you suppress what God has put inside of you, then you're disobeying God. You owe it to God to fight for your voice to be heard. And I'm so thankful for so many people who are fighting that fight. And I want to talk about some of them. I don't know if Pastor Tillis is still here, but some of this political pressure came at us when we were during COVID. It was a dark time. You weren't allowed to say anything. You weren't allowed to have an opinion. And if you did, it was silenced. We lost our free speech on social media through COVID. We lost our right to assemble. Churches were not allowed to meet. Schools, my school, wasn't allowed to meet. We weren't allowed to have school. And if we did, we had to have mask mandates. And if you know anything about education, that's just horrific for the development of kids. We could see this stuff coming. And then what are you going to do in a situation like that when the whole world's against you? The whole world's against you and all the pressure. And now even the police are coming and knocking on your door. That's the kind of courage that it's going to require to win this fight. Somebody who could step up and say, no, that's not right. The facts aren't there. Science does not support what you're saying. This is a lie, and I'm willing to go to jail for it. Pastor Tillis, myself, and a few others were willing to make that stand. Now, how do you reconcile that? It takes a while to reconcile this. Please understand that we've got to understand the Bible and what the Bible is telling us to do. The Bible tells us to obey our government. That's true. But then we also have an example of Paul that says, I'm going to appeal to a higher authority. He appealed to Caesar. Do you understand this? You've got to work through this if you're going to be able to speak with conviction and stand up for the truth. And so what Paul did is he appealed to a higher authority. We have a higher authority here in this nation. It's called the Constitution. Some laws are unlawful and need to be fought against. And you might risk going to jail to do so. I encourage you to have the courage to stand up for what is right. at all times. Also, some other things that happened here that I want to share with you guys. At New College, I was a trustee there, and there's things that you guys need to be proud about, this Manatee County, this epicenter here. So this college was over 50% identified as LGBTQIA. So it was a large percentage. DEI was running rampant there. We were the first college in the entire nation to eliminate DEI. That's huge. We're an epicenter here. And also, we were the first college to eliminate gender studies department. That's where all this comes from. This trans agenda. And I was proud to be a part of that, and I was proud to lead that, actually. Not the DEI, that was Chris Rufo, and I was his biggest cheerleader, but gender studies, that was me pushing that and making sure and that gets addressed. And what did it take? It took speaking the truth. Now, if I spoke the truth and says, this is where all the trans agenda is starting, it's in this department right here, everybody else had to weigh in on it. I didn't have the authority to do it, but I had the authority to speak the truth and put everybody else on notice so that they would be exposed for what they believe. And in the end, we got rid of gender studies. But that's what it takes. It takes people who are going to expose others and put the motion forward, who are going to speak on behalf of truth. Something else happened here, and I just want to point out Trent and Jacqueline Heisey right here. These people are freedom fighters. They were silenced, and your voice was silenced. They won the state committee man and state committee woman of Manatee County. And I want to share this with you guys. They were silenced, and they were shut down and said, I don't care what the public says, you're not state committee man, you're not state committee woman within the Republican Party. Do you understand that that was a duly held election? We the people were silenced. And these guys are fighting against it and have been fighting against it for a long period of time. So this fight is right here in front of us, and we've won, and we will continue winning with people who are willing to speak the truth. So I want to thank these freedom fighters here for what they've done as well. So I've been fired up about this stuff, and you guys probably don't even know who Barry Goldwater is. I don't think I did. But he had a quote. I'm going to revise it a little bit for the younger generation, okay? Extremism in the defense of liberty is virtuous. Follow that. Extremism in the defense of liberty is virtuous. Because you're going to be told, hey, you're too extreme. Hey, quit causing a ruckus. No. If it's in defense of liberty, please be extreme. And moderation in the pursuit of justice is just a cloak for cowardice. That kind of hurts a little bit. Let me tell you about me and my struggle with cowardice. As a trustee at New College of Florida, I couldn't have a debate, I couldn't have a discussion because we weren't even dealing with the truth. So I had to send social media posts out to all of New College of Florida, and I had to say trans is a mental disorder. Now I'm a trustee there, and doing that, that's just like throwing off a bomb right in the middle of student union, right? I was so scared, I gotta tell you. The reason why I'm saying this is follow God, learn how to, we talked about it before, learn how to hear God's voice. Spend time with God. Spend time in His Word. Hear what He has to say, and then do what He tells you to do, regardless of the circumstances. The results belong to Him, not to you. Don't try to figure it out in your own mind. And I couldn't figure it out either. But I felt like God was telling me to say trans is a mental disorder. Now we can have a conversation. Oh my goodness! All heck broke loose when that happened. And I'm like, okay, I did it, God. I did it. Oh. And then I felt like God said, go on campus now. Now, we couldn't go on campus without SWAT teams before. I don't know if you remember this. This is a big national issue. Everybody was paying attention, and he just told me to go right in the middle of campus. So I did. I went right in the middle of campus, got yelled at, people cussing me out, but I developed relationships with these students. You know what these students wanted? They wanted to be heard. Nobody would listen to them. These students who are the biggest trans activists were like, well, at least you're talking to us, thank you. And I developed friendships with them. Now, you're not going to hear that in the media, because the media wants this group on this side and this group on that side. Now we can have a good fight, and now we know how to profit from that kind of discord. Let's eliminate the discord, and let's have a dialogue. Let's have a conversation. Let's respectfully disagree when we need to respectfully disagree. By the way, speaking, how am I doing? 3 more minutes? Okay. So please understand that there's another angle that the media and other people they want us fighting. But really, it's just rational conversations, and we can disagree, but let's at least speak the truth. And don't silence what God has put in your heart to speak. Please don't do that. You need to stand up, because you're gonna have to answer to God for that someday. He'll say, I gave you this voice, and I gave it only to you, and what did you do with it? Well, I was afraid. No, that's not gonna suffice. That's not gonna suffice. We need to make sure that we're not cowards when we speak the truth. So the things that are happening locally are happening at a national level, and we're being groomed to accept a 2-tier system of justice. There's a ruling elite, and then there's us. There's we the people, and then there's them. And our ruling elites don't care about the Constitution. They only care about power and position. They've done things that we need to be screaming about. But we're told to forget about it and move on. No, we're not going to move on. We're not going to move on until people go to jail for what they did during COVID with the Epstein files. We're not going to stop. Otherwise, we're just lying to ourselves and think we have a great country when we have pedophiles in the ruling elite and a government that's protecting them. I can't live with that lie. I'm sorry, I can't, and I know that you can't either. We learn how to just kind of take it and just, okay, I don't speak the truth. We get smaller and smaller and smaller. No, it's we the people, and they only govern by the consent, by our consent. And so now it's time to tell them, no, we're not going to stop until these pedophiles are put in jail. Tim Tebow spoke recently about the fight against pedophiles, and he said, what is the definition of calling? And I got it written down here. The definition of a calling is, will you accept the divine invitation to take responsibility for protecting the freedoms of this nation? So I'm going to say this again. It's a question. I rephrase this into a question. Will you accept the divine invitation to take responsibility for protecting the freedoms of this nation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Then repeat after me. And I'm going to read it first. Unlike Kevin Wright, who just blasts that, and you're not sure. Okay, I'm going to say what he says. I don't know. I'm going to read this to you, and then you decide if you want to speak it or not. Okay? You've got free will here. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, so that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. Will you guys repeat that? Okay. I, Eddie Speir, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion. So help me God. That's powerful.
Thank you, Eddie. Yeah.